Welcome back to Switch to Linux. It is Friday and it is time for another edition of the news. On this news clip section where we talk about the business news, business technology, or sometimes the way I like to say is corporatocracy. Because that's really what we are. People talk about us being this free enterprise system, this capitalism. We are not in a capitalist society, people. A capitalist society has morals and a capitalist society has a free market. We don't have morals or a free market in our business. We have a corporatocracy. The businesses actually control the politicians, if you're ever wondering what's going on. That is the definition of that word, corporatocracy. So let's go ahead and dive on in. So first a Microsoft story. We're starting out with these guys. So Microsoft has the Groove music on iOS and Android. Well, it did. They've decided to take it out back and put a bullet in that thing. So they are pulling it off. As of now, you can no longer, I think it might be now, it might just be a couple days from now, you can no longer download it from the App Store. What this is supposed to do is you throw all your MP3s or whatever else in your Microsoft cloud, so Microsoft knows the type of music you like to listen to, and then you can stream it to your various devices. And so in this, they're talking about on December 1st, the apps will simply stop working altogether, so you should just uninstall them after that time period. The music is still remaining there. If you have a PC, an Xbox, or a Windows phone, you can still use it. Maybe this is just their push to get people into their, the only place I have my music is Office's, Microsoft's OneDrive cloud. Let's go ahead and go over there. So any device that has apparently the OneDrive app, and I don't know, if anybody has that OneDrive app, let me know in the comments down below. I know I have a few MP3s in my private cloud on Nextcloud, and if I actually boot up my Nextcloud app and I go into my music in my Nextcloud app, I can actually stream music directly from my Nextcloud. So I can go ahead and do that. Now it's going to download the file to the phone and then stream it. And so it's going to download it first and then play it. So it's technically not streaming, but it's going to do that. And even if the file is not available offline, it's going to kind of download it for the background. So we're playing the 1812 Overture. Hey, that's not copyrighted. I'll just go ahead and let that play for a little bit. So that's actually streaming from my cloud. I wonder if it does just the same type of thing. If you know, let me know. Of course, if you have the PC, the Xbox, or the Windows phone, you can do the same. Now, here's the other funny thing. Okay, how can I play my OneDrive music on my iOS and Android device? Number one, download your OneDrive music to your PC. I think somebody at Microsoft missed the question. You'd think that would pass through some quality control. How do I play it on my iOS? It's very simple. Download your OneDrive music to your PC. How does that let me play it on my iOS or Android device? I'm confused. Yeah, so somebody at Microsoft messed something up here. It's kind of funny. Of course, number two, play it through the OneDrive app, so I'm guessing you can still stream music much like the Nextcloud app works. That's my guess, but I don't know. I don't use Microsoft products. You let me know. Number three is play OneDrive music with another streaming app, and some people said there are no other streaming apps. Of course, get the apps from the Microsoft Store. Not on iOS devices, people! Not on iOS, not on Android. We're talking about how do you, look at the question. How do I play my OneDrive music on my iOS or Android devices? Play OneDrive music in another streaming app. Get apps from the Microsoft Store. Is there a Microsoft Store for iOS and Android? I mean, I've been out of the loop for a while, but somebody at Microsoft's back there sniffing glue or something. I don't know. Play music with Google Play Music or iTunes Match. Okay, it's okay. Wait. To my understanding, neither of these will play from OneDrive. So they have not answered it on any of their 4 bullet points. Microsoft, what is going on? Oh, well. Uganda apparently has a serious problem with gossip, particularly spreading on WhatsApp and Facebook, so now they are imposing a gossip tax. So they are imposing a tax of 200 shillings, which is 0.4 pounds, a daily levy on people for using internet messaging platforms like Facebook, WhatsApp, Viber, and Twitter. Wow. So the president has pushed the changes, arguing social media encourages gossip. So the law has come into effect July 1st, but there remains doubts how it will be implemented. So the new excise duty amendment bill would also impose other various taxes, including a 1% levy on the total value of mobile money transactions. And civil society groups are rightly saying this seriously hurts the people who rarely use the banking services. That raises a fascinating question. They must have much better banking services than here in America, because we either have to pay the banker money to use their bank, or we have to pay the money to not use the bank. I'm still trying to wrap my head around all of that, you know. And that's kind of the sad reality where we are, is in our society, we are so controlled by the businesses and this corporatocracy that no matter what we do, just walking down the street costs us an extra bit of money. And it's getting kind of crazy to the point where you ask this question, at what point in time do we have any freedom in any society at any point in time? Because even the way we engage in commerce, we either have to pay for having our money in the bank, or we have to pay for not having our money in the bank. Well, so that's kind of raising a fascinating question. But hey, at least we don't have to pay a 0 point, at least we don't have to pay a few pennies every day to keep using Facebook or Twitter. But maybe if we did that, like we tax cigarettes or something, maybe usage might drop, but I doubt it. People still smoke, people would still use Facebook. I don't know. Of course, the question remains is, how do you do all this? The government is still struggling to ensure all mobile SIM cards are properly registered. This is 1984 all over the place. This is kind of crazy. So, yeah, those are kind of three kind of separated areas. The next three, I think our final 3 or so articles, I'll deal with this progression towards a smart city. Of course, I talked about smart cities in the past with on the tinfoil hat time, looking at this futuristic smart city where nobody owns everything, and of course, everything is a service, and that's great for the people who own the final products. And this is exactly the plan of Uber and Lyft. They are pushing this narrative that cars are too expensive. There's no reason we should all own cars. We only use them 4% of the day. Rest of the time, they just sit there, which is a great to get all the people out there to get away from their cars and do away with their cars, to not have all this big burden of cars, and you can just call them up and pay them a few cents to come pick you up anytime you need to go anywhere. That's a great plan for the people who own the cars and who are collecting the money for every little drive you need to take. Obviously, it costs us a little bit of money every single time. Every time I get in the car and I drive somewhere, I have to account for the gasoline I'm using. And then we have to ask, how much gasoline is that taking? And frankly, it costs a little bit more to ride your Lyfts and Ubers, honestly. But on that trend, of course, more and more societies are going cashless. Like China is nearly entirely cashless. It's weird for people to have cash. And so here we have a situation where everyone's cashless society. Everyone's so used to swipe. Ooh, candy bar, vending, credit card for a candy bar, which is crazy. Well, Visa was actually down in most of Europe today, which is kind of funny. So in moving in this cashless society, we forget about these little things that, if the entire internet infrastructure goes down, we're done with it. I mean, I remember working as a cashier at Burger King and our register would go down and having to take orders. Now, that was before we took plastic at fast food restaurants. There was actually a day fast food restaurants would only take cash, maybe a check, but they'd only take cash. And so you'd go in there, and if our register was down, we had to do all of the orders manually, keeping track of everything. We actually had to multiply out the tax. We had to do all this kind of stuff. Wowzers, and we managed. Certainly wasn't easy, but we managed. And it was fine, that was fine. But here is, in a world where everything is digital, we have to account for the fact that payment systems could go down. I mean, what if you're going down? In fact, I remember I was just outside of Mesa Verde Park, and there was a little gas station there, and I'm like, I go in, park the car there, go into the gas station with some cash. He's like, yeah, we don't take cash. Huh? Okay. What if you really, really need gas? Hey, can I give you this $20 and you can throw your credit card on there for me? No, I had a debit card, so I just used that. But that's a fascinating thing. The only gas station within 20 miles of the center of Mesa Verde doesn't take cash. So, if this were to happen here, what do you do? And that's it shut down a lot of Europe. Train stations, people couldn't catch rides, or if you didn't have any cash, you couldn't do things. And I couldn't buy my venti latte from Starbucks today. It's like June 2nd, we're going to see a report. The economy has returned back because all of the people were ended up saving hundreds of thousands of dollars collectively because they weren't able to use their Visa cards multiple times a day. But this is a concern as we move towards this smart city where everything is done with online transactions. We have to account for the fact that sometimes these systems go down. What do we do? So, of course, Bank of Ireland, Visa New Europe, HS, which is Hurley State Bank, Paulton's Theme Park. Yeah, okay. Apparently can't use your Visa card at the theme park. So that's a fascinating take. Now, of course, two articles here from Ars Technica. And these were just kind of more like opinion or op-ed type pieces, but I thought they were very fascinating. So here we have a situation where we have our self-driving technology is going to change a lot more than cars, is what they're saying here. Okay. And this article here is quite fascinating because what they're looking at here is not only are how we use our vehicles changing, but the various types of services. Think of the fact that we use cars to get from point A to point B. We might also, chauffeur people around. How does this self-driving technology dictate things like minors? Mom would ordinarily, picture the classic soccer mom in the minivan driving all around. Well, do these kids have the permission or the ability to go and get these rides without a parent with them? That raises fascinating questions. What if the kid never shows up? There's no adult. The computer abducted your child. Huh? You get all sorts of weird questions. But we also order food. We have, in our town, we have Grubhub, we have Order Up, and what's the one that goes to the grocery stores and shops for you? If you're too busy to go to the grocery store to get your shopping done, you might think about cutting some things out of your schedule. Now, of course, with any of these technologies, and I make a statement like that, you can always say there are legitimate cases. My neighbor's car broke down. So my neighbor, if she ran out of food, I'd probably drive her to the store. In fact, I was going to the store today. I was like, hey, do you need something? But it'd be a very good convenience for a shut-in, a person who can't get around, a person without a car, things like that. Great service for those people. But for a lot of the people that are targeted to these, it's like, I'm sitting down. So I'm reading that book, Building a Bridge to the 18th Century, and I just did the third or so chapter. I'm way pre-recording videos on that book because it's not like Lucifer Principle where it takes me a long time to read a section. So the one I filmed, which will be out in a few weeks, he's talking about all this time-saving devices. Time-saving. We're saving this. We're doing this to save all this time. Well, what are we doing with the extra time? Probably watching TV. So this is it. We're sitting back, watching more TV, adding on 3 or 4 more pounds while somebody else goes to the store and shops for us on the Visa market. Well, this is those questions that are being asked about the smart cities, the smart technologies, the smart things. So this op-ed, it looks at, we have self-driving, we have our own personal cars, and then now we have the trend towards self-driving cars. And then, of course, it's more than just that. So they talk about this new service called Drive.ai in Dallas area, and this is kind of like a merge between taxis and buses. A taxi, you hail the taxi from anywhere, you take it to anywhere. The bus is on specific routes. Well, this Drive.ai keeps the cars confined within certain regions, but you can hail them this way and that way. And of course, they're going to be relying and investing heavily in the self-driving technology, so they don't have to pay a human being to do this, which is, once again, great deal for the corporation who owns the cars. They're going to be making some bank. They don't even have to hire some guy even at contractor sub-minimum wage anymore like Uber's doing now. They completely own all the technology. You got 4 guys up at the top getting a whole lot in. Maybe a call center of people to deal with little problems from scripts, although that's going to be outsourced to China or India. And then, of course, it's going to be, we're going to be paying top dollar for that service. Nero building a self-driving for moving goods instead of people, so like a self-driving U-Haul. That could be fairly convenient. Some people, and that might be when I look and I go, well, when you're talking about cars, I really want to keep the humans in the cars, because as bad as some humans aren't driving, it's certainly better than, having a blue screen of death. But then you get people renting U-Hauls that have no idea how to drive a big truck, hauling all their stuff halfway across the country. I might just about let AI do that one. I don't know. They might have me a little on this one. But this is a new startup doing that. It wants to move goods and services. They don't have passengers. All they're doing is just transporting, which could be, a shipping service. So, sorry, truck drivers, I guess, or a moving service. So, of course, there's like the big moving services like Mayflower. Are they still in business? I don't know. But then you have the Reynolds, the U-Haul, Penske, etc. And then, of course, they have the pizza guys. Now, was it Domino's, I think, is investing in the mobile pizza oven. So they literally drive around just cooking pizzas. And so when you order a pizza, these cars will just kind of get into your neighborhood while the pizza pops right out of the oven right to your door. And that's one of the things they're working on. Well, that's kind of neat technology, particularly if you need some people in there doing things. I'm not a fan of this stuff if it means people are losing their jobs. But I am a good fan of that type of technology. Is kind of cool. Whether that's a self-driving vehicle or preferably a vehicle driving around with a driver, maybe a 2 or 3 person team. You got a driver and a couple cooks in the back, driving around cooking things. These are these questions that we're starting to ask, we're starting to get to. And so they do this little grid here. The owner operated, so of course we have the moving people. So today we drive our car. In the future we'll be looking at self-driving cars, which again, notice the trend in all of these. Notice the trend in every one of these. Today we own our own car. In the future, these self-driving car companies will eventually own it all. Moving stuff. Today, we drive our car to the store. In the future, the car companies will eventually be offering that service. And they may or may not actually employ people to do stuff like that. Today, we call the taxi. In the future, it is a corporation-owned, self-driving system like the Waymo, the Cruise, the Uber. Today, we order the pizza. Somebody at the pizza shop makes it. They set it in the car. The driver comes over, drops it off. But they're looking at the possibility of shipping the pre-ordered pizzas or whatever else straight to your door. Today we might take a bus. You get the bus driver. Soon they're going to be having the Drive.ai and the Nava, which are, driving towards the autonomous. Today, package delivery, self-driving versions. This guy's like, no, these are already out there, man. These are already out there. And this raises that question that notice the trend. Everything is moving towards that smart city model where we don't own anything anymore. One big happy socialist society. We don't own anything. Life is just, and it's like, and it raises these questions. Okay, well, if all of these, 3 or 4 companies are controlling all of these services, what are the rest of us doing? Are we just meandering around, doing nothing, singing Kumbaya? We're pretending we're on a sitcom. We don't do anything but sit on the couch, sip coffee, and have fun time with friends. Yet every one of these companies wants paid for all of these services, and we have no more jobs left to do it. Thank you, companies. So this is a fascinating trend on where are we going as the smart city moves. And of course, the next article is specifically, same trend, just specifically talking about the the trucks. So autonomous trucks will haul your stuff before you are ride in a self-driving car. And realize this, Uber, who plows down people in the cities because, they set their technology to say, oh, there's a person crossing the street. Nah, it's just an unknown object. Drive into it as fast as you can. You get into that kind of stuff and, realize that these Uber trucks are already on the road. Yeah, kind of scary. Hauling beer makes you wonder if someone in Uber is drunk. So that's kind of what I want to say about driving toward a smart society. Let me know your thoughts. What's your thoughts on self-driving society? And are these news articles trending in that direction a comfort to you? Do you find this awesome? Or do you find this a little on the perilous side? Let me know in the comments down below. I hope you've enjoyed this video from Switched to Linux. If you'd like to help support the channel, check out the links at the top. There is another video over here. You can check out our Patreon page down here. And you can check out shop.switchtolinux.com for information on a t-shirt like this or some other designs. Thanks for watching and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.